Hello, friends. Enjoy listening. My name is Mirsad. I'm 24 years old. I was working in the intensive care unit of a hospital, in the surgical department. Today, I had a night shift. After preparing my food, I went to the hospital. There was only one patient, so it was calm. Usually, there's a specialist doctor and a support staff. When it's crowded, it's busy, but with one patient, it's peaceful. At around 11 p.m., I went to change the patient's IV. I always try to treat every patient like they're my own family, like my mother or father. This patient was an older woman. I spoke gently to her, telling her that the call button was beside her, and to call me even for a glass of water. She heard me, but didn't talk much. Maybe she had trouble speaking. After I left her room, things started to feel strange. Around 12:30, the call light for room 4 suddenly turned on, but the only patient was in room 2. Confused, I checked again. No one was in room 4. It was pitch dark. I thought maybe it was a glitch. Just to be sure, I peeked in. Everything looked untouched. The call button was still in place. I went back a little uneasy. Then, suddenly, the call lights for rooms 4 and 5 flashed together. Something felt very wrong. The lights flickered, alarms blinked, and then everything stopped. 10 seconds later, room 2's light came on. I rushed in. The patient was still lying there, peacefully. She hadn't moved. But the call button was away from her hand. "Did you call me, Mom?" I asked. Just then, the back door slammed shut. The window burst open. Wind hit me like a wave. My hair flew everywhere. I was frozen. Then the light above me turned off. Only the lights from the machines were on now. I turned toward the old woman. She was sitting up, staring at me. "Are you okay, Mom?" I asked, stepping toward the switch. When I turned back, she was lying down again, eyes closed, just like before. I froze. I quickly left the room, locked the window, and placed something in front of the door. I didn't dare turn my back as I walked out. Right as I turned around, Haken appeared behind me. I screamed loud. "You scared me to death, Abi," I said, laughing nervously. He laughed too, handed me tea, and helped clean the floor. I tried to calm down, but my hands were still shaking. "You look pale," he said. "Did something happen?" I couldn't tell him everything. Just said lights went out, the window opened. He told me not to worry, that these things happened. Later, I sat by the nurse's station, trying to distract myself with my phone. But then I noticed my phone's clock was stuck at 3 a.m. I checked the wall clock. Also 3 o'clock. It wasn't moving at all. I counted backwards from 60. Nothing changed. Suddenly, all the call buttons lit up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. All empty rooms. Loud alarms echoed everywhere. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to get out. I ran toward the stairs. The hallway lights started flickering. Alarms were blaring from all directions. I turned to the elevator. It was going up and down on its own. The doors kept opening and slamming shut. Finally, I jumped inside and hit the G button. When the doors opened, I expected the ground floor, but I was on the same floor again. No escape. Lights turned on again, like nothing had happened. I walked back to the nurse station. My phone still didn't work. The wall clock still showed 3 o'clock. I pressed the call button again, hoping Haken would come. But he didn't. Normally, he shows up right away. Suddenly, all the alarms went off again. All empty rooms were lighting up. The buzzers echoed like a nightmare. I couldn't breathe. I needed to run. I had to escape somehow. I ran down the hall. The lights flashed violently. I turned into the stairwell. Nothing changed. I took the elevator again. When it opened, it brought me back to the same floor once more, like I was stuck in a loop. Everything stopped. The lights returned to normal. No alarms. It was dead quiet. I stood frozen in place. Nothing made sense. I just wanted out. My heart felt like it would burst. I checked on the old woman again. She was awake. "My arm hurts, dear," she said softly. I approached her. Her arm was darkened, almost black. I looked at the floor. The liquid had turned red, filled with something moving like worms or leeches. As I got closer, the door slammed shut. Liquid began seeping from under the bed, turning red. The woman laughed and looked at me. "What a beautiful face you have." "I wish I had such a beautiful face too," she said, raising her hands. Her nails were long, like claws. Slowly, she began peeling the skin off her own face. Beneath it, there were worms crawling. I was frozen, unable to move. Something below pulled the bed down, dragging a body with it, my uncle's lifeless body. "You caused his death," she screamed. "Why did you kill him? Why did you let him die?" "You killed him," she screamed again. Her voice echoed inside my head. I couldn't breathe. My body felt numb, as if insects were crawling on my skin. Then she pointed to the door. I turned slowly. There was no one there. I looked back. The woman had vanished. The bed was covered in blood. I backed out of the room, trembling. I pressed the emergency button again, crying for help. No one came. I rushed to the bathroom, splashed water on my face. "Am I losing my mind?" I whispered. I thought maybe I was just overworked, but the fear was real too real. I remembered my grandmother's words. "If you see evil, seek refuge in prayer." I started reciting what I knew. I didn't know what else to do. I was shaking. Then Rifat Hoka came back upstairs. "Mirsad, what happened to you?" he asked. "Why are you crying? Did something happen to the patient?" I shook my head. "I don't feel okay, Hoka. Something strange is happening." He looked concerned. I pointed to the faulty alarm system. "They're going off randomly. Empty rooms. It's not right." I couldn't bring myself to explain everything yet, but I mentioned, "I saw my dead uncle." "You saw your uncle?" he asked. "Didn't he pass away in a car accident?" I nodded. "There's only one uncle I have. And I saw him. His face was just like the day of the crash cart and bleeding. He spoke to me. He blamed me for his death. He touched me. I fell to the ground. But when I got up, he was gone." Rifat Hoka's face turned pale. "Hasbinallah," he muttered under his breath. He told me stories like this were passed down in villages. "Strange things happen at 3 a.m., he said. "Maybe it was a dream." "No, Hokum," I replied. "I wasn't asleep. It really happened. Right here." He walked around the ICU with me. All the rooms were empty. All doors were shut. No one had entered. "Stay close to room 2, he said. "Only respond to that one tonight." I sat down at the station, trying to calm myself. I was watching videos on my phone to distract my mind. Then something strange happened. I glanced at the clock. 3 a.m. A few minutes passed, but when I looked again, it still said 3 o'clock. I counted silently. 1 minute, 2 minutes. Still 3 o'clock. I ran to the wall clock. It was also stuck at 3 o'clock. I felt my sanity slipping. I pressed the emergency button again. No response. Then all the alarms went off at once. Rooms 1 to 10. The lights blinked. The buzzing was unbearable. I couldn't take it anymore. I bolted out of the room, running toward the staircase. As I reached the hall, the corridor lights flickered violently. I turned toward the elevator. It opened on its own, like it had been waiting for me. I jumped in and hit 0. I thought I'd escape, get out of the hospital. As the elevator moved, I prayed nonstop. The doors opened, but not on the ground floor. It was the ICU again. Same floor, same hallway. The alarm suddenly stopped. lights came back. Silence. My legs shook. I stood still, trying to make sense of it. This had to be a nightmare, but I was wide awake. I went to the old woman's room. She was awake now. "My arm hurts," she said. I looked. Her arm was dark, almost rotten. The fore fluid had turned red, and inside it, something moved like worms or tiny snakes. I froze. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind me. A liquid started pouring out from under the bed. It turned from clear to red like blood. The woman grinned. "Pretty face," she whispered. She raised her hands. Her fingers stretched unnaturally long, claws growing from her nails. Slowly, she began peeling the skin off her own face. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. Worms crawled where her face used to be. The bed shook. A body was being dragged from under it, my uncle again. "Why did you kill him?" She screeched. "It's your fault. You let him die." I collapsed from fear. I crawled backward until I could reach the door. I ran to the restroom, splashed water on my face again. "I'm not insane," I whispered. "I'm not," but I was trembling. I thought of the prayers my grandma taught me. I repeated every verse I could remember. "Please, God," I cried, "please help me." Then Rifat Hoka returned. He saw my state. "You're coming with me?" he said calmly. He took me to a quiet room. "Alel," he said, "you need rest." "This isn't normal," I nodded. "Hokum." I don't know how to explain it. Time is frozen at 3 o'clock. Everything only happens at that hour. Lights flicker. Shadows walk. My uncle blames me. The woman's face. I paused. She tore it off. Rifat Hoka didn't interrupt. He just listened. Then he made a decision. "You're not going back in tonight." Adam Feather arranged for me to stay in the staff room. "If anything happens, call me immediately," he said. "Don't respond to alarms unless it's room 2. I agreed. There were files to sort, but I couldn't focus. My hands were shaking. I tried to distract myself with my phone, but my mind kept going back to 3 a.m., to the woman's face, to my uncle's voice, to the alarms. Time passed. I tried to relax. Ise came to join me later. "You look pale," she said. "Are you okay?" "Just tired," I lied. We chatted about normal things. Then she said, "Did you ever hear about the woman in room 4? The old one with the angry daughter?" I nodded slowly. "She grabbed my hair once," Ise said. "Creeped me out. Then she died. 3 a.m., same time as everything else." My blood ran cold. "What do you mean 3 a.m.? I asked. "She died at that exact time?" Ise nodded. "Yeah, the night shift said it was weird. Lights went out, alarms went crazy. Same night she passed. Creepy, huh?" I couldn't speak. My throat tightened. "Maybe she cursed the place," Ise said casually. "You know how old people can be." I didn't respond. I knew it wasn't a joke. That evening, I kept thinking about the woman, about the things I saw. When I got home, I told my mom everything. She listened in shock. Then she whispered, "Let's talk to your grandmother." Babanam arrived that night. She came close, touched my forehead. "Oi, cousin," she said softly. "They scared you, didn't they? You saw them. You saw the other side." Grandma said, "These things happen when a soul is angry. Sometimes they cling to those who cared, or those they think wronged them." I asked if she believed me. She looked straight into my eyes. "Yes, and we'll take care of it." The next day, they found something hidden in the ICU, a talisman, hair wrapped inside it, hidden behind a broken tile. I couldn't believe it. We took it to a trusted religious scholar. He examined it, then looked at us with concern. "This is real," he said. "A curse meant to tie pain to a person. Someone hated deeply. He said prayers over it, then burned it. "She won't return," he promised. "But your spirit needs healing too. Pray, and don't go back there alone." I nodded. I never wanted to see that floor again. After that, my colleagues helped. They took my night shifts. I only worked daytime, never stayed alone. Even going to the bathroom, I'd ask someone to wait nearby. The fear stayed, but nothing strange happened again. No more alarms, no more shadows. It was as if she had finally left. But part of me still checked the clock every night, especially at 3 a.m. Days passed, and everything started to seem normal again. But at night, I still woke up at exactly 3 a.m. My eyes would search for the clock. I couldn't shake off the fear of 3 o'clock. Even though no alarms were ringing anymore, I still felt like something was watching me. It was as if the hospital floor whispered, "Come back." One day, I was on a day shift. The floor was calm. Patients were stable. But room 4's door was slightly open. It looked like someone had just been placed inside, but I knew it was empty. I peeked inside. That same smell hit me, a mix of rotten blood and dampness. I stepped in, and my stomach turned. Strange writings on the wall, mold in the corner of the ceiling. It was near where we found the charm. I rushed out immediately, heart pounding. The moment my shift ended, I ran home. My mom took one look at me and said, "It started again, hasn't it? Was it in your dream?" "No, Mom. This time it was during the day." My grandmother came over. "I'll give you another prayer," she said. She handed me a folded paper covered in Arabic script. "Keep it in your pocket every shift. And don't ever enter an empty room alone again." That night, I dreamed of the old woman. But this time, she had no face. She had ripped it off and left it lying on the bed. All I saw was a skeletal hand pointing at me. "You cannot replace me," she said. I woke up screaming, drenched in sweat. Everything around me was silent, but I could still hear her voice. "I'll stay with you, ... I thought about quitting my job. My soul felt heavy. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. Whenever I was alone, I felt her behind the door, watching. Should we call a psychologist? My mom asked. "No, they'll think I've lost my mind," I replied. That night, I didn't just pray. I broke down crying. Did I do something wrong? Why me? I asked the sky. A whole week went by calmly. I didn't skip a single prayer. Then I was called for another shift, this time in a different department, downstairs. But still, my chest tightened. As 3 a.m. approached, I stared at my phone. 2:56, then 2:59, 3 o'clock. Nothing happened, no alarms, no flickering lights, silence. I took a deep breath. Maybe it was truly over. Maybe the charm had lost its power. Then, a shadow passed beneath the door. My body went cold. I slowly walked toward it, opened it. The corridor was empty, but on the floor, a small lock of hair, just like the one in the charm. My heart started pounding again. I reached for it, and it vanished before I could touch it. I backed away from the spot where the hair had vanished. My hands were shaking. It wasn't just fear now. It was recognition. That scent in the air, I knew it. The same perfume my aunt used to wear. The one who passed away years ago. I whispered, "Is that you?" No answer. But down the hallway, a patient monitor suddenly beeped. From room 10, which was supposed to be empty, I grabbed a flashlight and slowly made my way toward the room. The light flickered. My breath fogged up in the air. The hallway had become ice cold. I reached the door. My hand trembled as I pushed it open. Inside was darkness. The monitor was on, but no patient was connected. Instead, on the bed, lay a folded hospital gown, and written in red across the wall, "I never left." Suddenly, I heard whispering. A voice, like wind hissing through broken glass. "You brought me here." The door behind me slammed shut. I turned around, but nothing was there. I pressed my back against the wall. My flashlight flickered, and in that flicker, for just a second, I saw her, standing in the corner. No eyes, no mouth, but still smiling. I screamed. I don't remember how I got out of the room. I ran. My legs moved on their own. I didn't stop until I reached the nurse's station. Ys was there. She saw my face and stood up instantly. "Alo, what happened?" I couldn't speak. I just pointed. Tears rolled down my cheeks. She grabbed my shoulders. "You went into room 10, didn't you?" I nodded. She whispered, "We don't talk about that room anymore." Ys pulled me into the break room and locked the door behind us. Her face was pale. "I wasn't going to tell you this," she said, "but something happened in room 10 last year." I stared at her, still trembling. "A patient died there," she continued, "but she didn't go peacefully. She screamed for hours before flatlining, said something was dragging her soul out of her body." I whispered, "Did anyone believe her?" "No," she replied, "but maybe we should have." Later that night, I sat in the staff locker room, lights on, door wide open. I couldn't risk being alone in the dark. I checked my phone. 2:48. My chest tightened again. 12 minutes left. I took out the charm my grandmother gave me, the one the Hoya prayed over. I clutched it hard, whispering every prayer I knew. But the moment it turned 3 o'clock, the lights went out. Again. Only the emergency red lights remained. The air turned heavy. I heard the sound again. Bare feet slapping wet tiles. Closer and closer. I held my breath. Then, from behind the row of lockers, I heard it. "Ayilul," dragged out, familiar. Like my Amka's voice. I turned slowly, shaking. A silhouette moved behind the last locker. It whispered again. "I never left. Because of you." I screamed. Loud. So loud someone had to hear me. But the silence that followed was unbearable. I grabbed my phone. Still 3 o'clock. It hadn't moved even a second. My hand shook as I dialed. No service. Again. Then footsteps outside the locker room. Not running, not walking. Dragging. Like someone pulling a heavy body. The handle started to turn, but I had locked the door. It still turned. The doorknob twisted all the way down with a loud click, but the door didn't open. Instead, something knocked. Once, twice, 3 times, then silence. And just when I thought it was over, from underneath the door, a long dark shadow slid inside. Like smoke, but thicker, moving with purpose. It curled toward me. I froze. It whispered, "You saw me once. Now I live inside you." I collapsed to my knees, clutching the necklace tighter. My lips moved in silent prayer. The shadow retreated for a second, then surged forward, straight toward me. Everything went dark. I felt my body leave the floor. Cold hands held me in place. A voice hissed in my ear. "The dead don't forget." Suddenly, light burst back into the room. Haken Abi was standing there, flashlight in hand. "Alo, what's happening to you?" I couldn't speak. My throat was raw, my skin ice cold. He wrapped a blanket around me and led me out. The hall was normal. Lights steady, monitors quiet. Even the clock. It finally showed 3:11. Everything was moving again. But I knew what I felt wasn't a dream. It wasn't stress. It was something else. Something real. Something that now knew my name. And worst of all, it didn't want to leave me. After everything calmed down, I was sent home. I didn't speak a word the entire taxi ride. The driver kept looking at me in the mirror, maybe because my face was pale as a ghost. When I got home, My mom opened the door. "Ayla, what happened, girl?" I didn't answer. I just walked in and sat on the floor. She wrapped me in a blanket. That night, I didn't sleep, because every time I closed my eyes, I saw her. The next day, my grandmother brought a Hoya to the house. He listened to everything I described. He didn't blink once. When I mentioned room 10 and the woman who passed away, he nodded slowly. "There was something left unfinished," he said. "Someone died with a curse in their heart, and you were in its path." I asked him, "But why me?" He replied, "Because you cared. And spirits follow those who care, not those who ignore." He gave me protective verses to wear and read. My grandma burned some herbs in the house. The air became lighter. My chest loosened. But deep down, I knew it wasn't over. That same night, I had a dream. The hospital, room 10. But this time, I was inside the bed, strapped down. The woman was standing over me, her face half gone, her eyes completely black. She leaned in and said, "You carry my pain now." I woke up in a cold sweat, heart pounding. The weight of her words hung heavy in the room. I felt trapped between two worlds alive, but tethered to something beyond. I told my grandma about the dream. She held my hand tightly and whispered, "Sometimes the spirits choose their protectors, but the choice is yours. Will you carry this burden or fight to break the curse?" I knew then I couldn't run anymore. Days passed, and strange things began happening around me. Shadows seemed to move just out of sight. Whispers echoed in empty rooms, and cold gusts brushed against my skin, even in the warmest places. I started researching old legends, hoping to find a way to protect myself. The deeper I dug, the more I realized this was bigger than just me. Ancient forces were at play, and I was caught right in the middle. The night I found the dusty old book in the library, everything changed. The pages whispered secrets in a language I couldn't fully understand, but somehow felt inside me. As I traced the symbols with my fingers, a surge of energy pulsed through my veins. Suddenly, the air around me thickened, and I knew the shadows were no longer just watching. They were waiting for me to make my next move. I tucked the book under my arm and hurried out, the hallway lights flickering as if warning me to stop. But curiosity pushed me forward. Outside, the cold wind bit at my skin, and the city felt different, darker, quieter, like it was holding its breath. The secrets in that book were alive, and I was now part of their story, whether I liked it or not. As I walked down the empty streets, I felt eyes on me, shadowy figures lurking just beyond the streetlights. The words from the book echoed in my mind, whispering warnings I couldn't ignore. Every step seemed heavier, like the city itself was trying to pull me back into its secrets. But I had to know more. I had to understand. Suddenly, a cold breeze brushed past me, carrying a faint scent of smoke and something metallic. I turned sharply, but there was nothing, only the flickering street lamp swaying in the wind. My heart raced. This wasn't just a story anymore. It was real. The city's past was alive, and it was reaching out to me. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. The journal in my bag felt heavier now, as if it contained the weight of centuries. Every page I'd read seemed to pull me deeper into a world where time blurred and shadows whispered secrets. I had to find out the truth, no matter the cost. As I stepped into the dimly lit room, the air thickened with anticipation. The ancient symbols etched on the walls seemed to glow faintly, reacting to my presence. Suddenly, a cold breeze swept past me, carrying a faint melody that stirred memories I never knew I had. Ayla opened her eyes, her body cold and trembling. The floor beneath her felt real again. She wasn't sure if she was alive or trapped in another illusion. Slowly, painfully, she sat up. The corridor in front of her was quiet. The red lights had vanished. The clock still stuck at 3 o'clock. She forced herself to her feet. Her fingers brushed the cold wall. "Is it over?" she whispered, barely audible. Suddenly, a voice echoed behind her. "Aelul." She turned. Rifat Hoka stood there, out of breath but very much real. Behind him, Hakan Abi appeared, his face pale but concerned. "You're back," Rifat said. "You made it?" "What happened to me?" she asked. Her voice was cracked, her throat dry. "You were pulled into something old," Rifat said. "That woman, ... she wasn't just a patient. She died full of hatred. She cursed this place. And somehow, you became the thread that tied her spirit to the world." Aelul tried to steady her breath. "But I didn't do anything to her." "That's the thing," Hakan added. "You didn't. But pain doesn't always care who caused it. It just needs a place to live." They slowly walked her back to the staff room. The clock above the door ticked once, then again. 3:01. Time had moved. A shift, a release. The curse was broken. That night, Aelul didn't return to the hospital. She stayed home, surrounded by her family. Her grandmother whispered protective prayers. Her mother didn't leave her side. She still hears echoes in dreams, still sees shadows sometimes. But now she knows what to do. She prays. She breathes. She keeps the light on. Because she has seen what darkness can become. And she survived. If this story gave you chills, if that voice still echoes in your head, and if you'll never look at 3 a.m. the same way again, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share your own eerie experiences in the comments. This channel doesn't just tell stories. Sometimes it whispers what was never meant to be heard. Take care of yourself. Some things don't end, they wait. See you in the next horror night. Stay safe.